Okay, so phase 3 of the PTS has started, and I'm here to give you the rundown on the newest version of the Banshee set. It's actually called Banshee Shadow now. How that's changed the solo build that I've come up with right now, considering that I just got in, I just started min-maxing. It's really tedious to get the gear and actually build something right now. It took me like well over an hour and a half to put together this final build, but I now have the pieces to be able to pump out builds. So over the next few days, instead of just all at once, there's going to be an abundance of builds, whether it's group play, solo play, support, damage, tank, all that stuff. I'll be covering all of it, but right now I'm going to start out with a specifically solo play Banshee build, revolving around not losing anything when you die and having competitive stats across the board. So to start off with, let's review the Banshee talents, and then I'll talk about my Banshee pieces. The two-piece bonus is not very helpful at all. I mean, it doesn't really need to be in the game, but 20% looted DZ funds, I guess that's cool if you're trying to get, you know, a bunch of funds to buy a recipe or a blueprint or something like that, but it doesn't really matter. The three-piece bonus is really key. 10% damage to targets out of cover, that's great. It's about half as much as an LMG now. And then the 4-piece bonus is what has changed and what really matters about this. So while Rogue, all ammo is completely refilled every 30 seconds. So if they wanted to give us infinite ammo, I don't know why they didn't just say, you know, infinite ammo while Rogue. But anyways, that just effectively means that you're never ever going to run out of ammo ever, because I can't even shoot 200 rounds in 30 seconds, even with a fast RPM gun. So damage taken from non-rogue players is reduced by 10%, okay? So that basically means you can do like the Alamo style last stands. You're significantly more tanky while rogue, especially if you're meeting the armor cap at around 60%, which actually got changed to 70%. So if you meet the armor cap at 70% as well as have 4-piece Banshee, utilizing something like Robust or, you know, the holster that gives you 15% increased armor while more than 4 seconds in cover, both of which I'll be covering. I'll be doing a build on how to have Juggernaut armor while in cover and get up to 70% mitigation and still get the Banshee mitigation, so you can go rogue, get into cover, and essentially just not die and trade with any person that comes up to you. But anyways, that's all bonuses while you're rogue, and then the duality of this set is while not rogue, damage to rogue players is increased by 10%, which is cool, and then no Dark Zone XP or currency is lost on death. Now, that's a really awesome idea for a solo player. I know that there's going to be a really heated debate in my community about whether or not this is good. Personally, I like the idea of the player that dies not losing anything, but I hate the idea of the player that kills, you know, the enemy player not getting anything. So if I'm going around the Dark Zone while rogue, that's how I choose to participate in the game, and I want to receive a reward for that. And if I kill another player, I want funds or keys or experience from that or something, and to not receive anything as well as them not lose anything, I think is unacceptable, and I hate this bonus. Personally, I hope they change it. I really hope this doesn't make it into the final thing of the game, but you know, the final version, the live game. But I think it will, and that's okay, I guess. I mean, I just foresee a crap ton of solo players running around with Banshee on. And this doesn't actually incentivize hunting rogues so much as it incentivizes going rogue. So while this set is intended to be a rogue hunting set, as far as I can tell, and, you know, geared towards people being able to catch or hunt down rogues. Previously, it was movement speed when you're not rogue. Again, geared towards chasing down people. It really incentivizes going rogue. You become more tanky, and you get infinite ammo, as opposed to not losing anything and getting, you know, some bonus damage against rogues. But it really, to me, seems like this is just going to be for going rogue. That's what I'm going to use it for. I'm going to go manhunt with this on. Know that I'm never going to run out of ammo. I can do whatever I want. I'm more tanky. I'm already fairly tanky. I've already got a ton of armor, so I'm really not a fan of the 4-piece, specifically this bonus, or really the infinite ammo. I think both of those are really bad and poorly done. I thought there were some way better ideas thrown out there, but in the end, it's not going to really break the immersion of the game. It's not going to really destroy the metagame or anything, so I shouldn't complain too much. Now, let's talk about my chest piece and all the rest of my gear pieces really quickly. This is going to be the only build that I do today, but I will be doing significantly more in the future. It's important to roll armor on your chest piece always. When constructing a build, you need to get as high as possible on the armor rolls. Now that they've upped the cap from 60 to 70% as well, something like Robust is really good, and I'll be covering it really in depth, but you want to roll armor on your chest piece for sure. EDR is not as important, but if you roll EDR, you're going to be more protected from things like Seeker Mines, which are actually quite strong now. The Cluster Seeker Mine is very devastating, and if spammed by enemy groups, it's going to hurt a lot. It also affects sticky bombs, but you're not going to see as many one-shot sticky bombs running around. And then it's a stamina chest piece. Ammo capacity organically on your gear is good to have because they are going to bring down, instead of carrying 2,500 rounds in an LMG when the live game hits, it's going to be more like 1,200 or something like that. I believe it's going to get about cut in half. So instead of carrying 2,000, you'll carry 1,000. It's not going to be as drastic as it is right now. Moving on to my backpack, I have just a standard stamina backpack again. It's important to roll armor on pretty much every single piece that can roll armor. There's 4 pieces, going to be your chest piece, your backpack, your knee pads, and your holster are all going to roll armor. Having a resistance here like burn resistance is really nice as well because status effects are extremely potent now. Burning in particular can mean the difference between life and death. You can't just cleanse constantly because there's no triage spam, there's no heal spam, there's no heal weaving, etc. So you're going to have to be really conscious of what resistances you have. Moving on to my gloves, I have health on kill, SMG damage, and critical hit damage. I would prefer SMG damage to be assault rifle damage, but again, it was really tedious to get all the gear. You have to like make a new character and then open like 30 sealed caches, and then once you've opened them, you have to put them in your stash and you have to sort through, and there's so much gear now and there's no loadouts, so I was really struggling to make sure that I have the right pieces in the right slots. But I will have an abundance of gear, and while I'm live streaming, I'll be constructing builds with you guys on screen and showing you how I do it for anyone interested. So check the Twitch link below to check out that stream. I'll be doing it pretty much every day during the PTS. Anyways, I would prefer assault rifle damage, but it's a firearm set of gloves to help me unlock my gun talents. Armor on the holster, really straightforward. You want as high rolls as possible there. Nothing much, to discuss. The 2-piece Tactician's Authority bonus is actually 10% skill haste, which is good now. It's a linear 10% skill haste. It doesn't function like it did previously. Now, if you have 10% skill haste, that means 10% of your skill's cooldown is gone. And it's lessened by 10%, which is good. Enemy armor damage as a minor attribute is amazing, and you should try to get this wherever possible. Some more burn resistance, because I really hate being lit on fire, so stacking those 2 resistances on top of each other means that it's going to be hard for them to light me on fire. And then armor on chest on your knee pads. Always put armor on your knee pads. That's a significant portion, right up there with the amount that the chest piece can roll. Those 2 pieces are primarily responsible for how much armor you have. And then my mask is another TAC Authority mask, again to activate that 2-piece bonus. But also, it's got stamina, a fairly decent roll, health on kill, and then increased kill XP. This minor attribute, I would prefer something else because kill XP isn't a problem, especially because I will no longer be losing any experience upon death. And that was the primary reason why people couldn't get to level 75 in the DZ or level 50 or rank whatever. The primary reason was because they were getting killed and losing stuff, so I'm no longer ever going to lose anything when I die in terms of experience funds or keys, so I don't really need to increase the rate at which I gain things to compensate for that because I can just go at my own pace and never worry about it. Good stamina roll though, and then health on kill. It did receive a pretty big nerf during the PTS, but it's still good to have some of it. Even when you rifle butt a player, you'll still proc that. Moving on to my weapons, I have a Black Market AK-74. It's a competitive gun, it has great base damage. I'm going to be using this to hunt rogues and also hunt players while rogue. It has brutal, responsive, and destructive. Now, when you re-roll a weapon from here on out, you're going to get 6 choices plus the original choice that you had. So if I re-roll responsive, I'll have responsive at the top, and then I'll have 6 other talents to choose from. This is going to increase the frequency of god rolls, considering if you get 2 talents you want, and then you re-roll the 3rd one like 3 times. That's a lot of talents to choose from, and hopefully you're going to get something good. So a lot more people are going to have better weapons now. It doesn't rely solely on RNG to dictate whether or not you get a good weapon. My secondary doesn't really matter, but I have Fierce, Unforgiving, and Competent. I'm going to re-roll Fierce to something else, but I'm never going to use this vector. It's pretty much garbage. The mag size is too small, the base damage is too low, the RPM's okay, but it's not really competitive with anything else in its class. If you're going to go for an SMG, go for an MP5 or possibly an AUG. So moving on to my skills and abilities, you're always going to run Pulse with Scrambler, always. There's no point in running this Pulse right here, Tactical Scanner. As you can see, based on my skill power, for Scrambler, I'm getting 12% critical hit chance and 12% critical hit damage. And then when I switch over to Tactical Scanner and I completely lose the ability to mitigate enemy pulses, I'm getting 12%, which is the same critical hit chance. And then I'm getting 4% extra critical hit damage from 12% to 16%. So there's absolutely no point in running Tactical Scanner. It's basically a dead skill now. Anytime you're in if you're in the PvE world only doing Underground, then yeah, Tactical Scanner is, I guess, slightly better. But Scrambler is exactly the way that you want to go. Anytime there's any chance of getting into a PvP encounter, you want Scrambler, and you want everyone on your team to have Scrambler so you have 100% uptime and can mitigate enemy pulses. I'm going to switch over from a solo play perspective to Recovery Link because this will auto, proc or, trigger as soon as you reach low health and are close to dying. It's just another mechanism to stay alive, and then any solo player is always going to want First Aid with Overdose. Now, the difference between the heals is a little bit fun here. and it's good that they implemented this. Overdose now heals yourself only, just you, for a large chunk of HP, and then not so much for allies. So if you're using this in a team play perspective while going rogue or something like that, you're not going to be that much help to your friends. Defibrillator is the exact opposite. It heals you for not that much, but your allies for a significant chunk. So you should be using this actually in a group play perspective, and then using the 3 ally heals that you have from your teammates to get increased healing, and then giving them increased healing at the same time. See, with the situation is, if you have a team of 4 and everybody runs Defibrillator, that means every time you put the heal on the ground, 3 people heal for 71,000 and 1 person heals for 35,000. That's you healing for 35. And then the difference between running 4-man with Overdose is every time you put your heal on the ground, 3 people heal for 35,000 and 1 person heals for 71,000. So that's, you know, tens of thousands of lost HP and healing that you could be getting if you were all running Defibrillator over Overdose. Now, the middle ground, and probably one of the better options, but you need the Vigorous chest piece for it, and I'll be going over that more in the future, is Booster Shot. This is actually king of the heal section now, I believe, and I think that Vigorous has definitely overtaken Reckless, and you should never use Reckless anymore, only Vigorous, but use Booster Shot with the Vigorous chest piece to heal for 43,000 for both you and your teammates. So this is the way to go right here. Drop this on the ground. Everybody's healing everyone for a good portion, and themselves, and the bonus mitigation, and the bonus damage. Booster Shot is just absolutely super strong in the current meta, and once the live game, you know, gets patch 1.4, I foresee that everyone's going to be running Booster Shot or Defibrillator, and not so many people are going to run Overdose. Overdose is a more selfish talent unless you are solo, and then of course you're going to want to be running Overdose. Moving on to my talents, I actually haven't assigned them because this is a fresh character, but you're going to want to do one is none. And then also, I'm going to show you how I theorycraft and build my talents around the gear that I have. But of course, you're going to want on the move. On the move procs significantly more often now because the time to kill is so short. Another really good talent to have is Tactical Advance, but I'm not really going to be using that, you know, all the time with this current build, so I'm probably going to spec for something else. I always go for Strike Back because having, you know, the extra or the decreased cooldowns is really good, especially when paired with Skill Haste, so I can get my Overdose back faster and keep myself alive. And then Battle Buddy, I'm by myself, so it's not really going to matter. One is none I am going to use. It does still jam your gun from time to time, but the 50% chance of not consuming a bullet if you can land headshots, especially with a gun that has Brutal, since you're always going to be going for the head anyway, is going to be, you know, really helpful to have. And then outside of that, those 3, there are a few more that you can use. In fact, I'm probably going to use Adrenaline to give myself an overheal when I use a med kit. But you probably could be using Tactical Advance, or if you're in a group, you're going to be using Triage or Combat Medic. You could be using Tech Support if you choose to use Smart Cover instead of Pulse or something like that. You could be using Chain Reaction because it now procs with grenades, I believe, and grenades are extremely strong. They received a large buff, which brings Final Measure back into the spotlight. But anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. There's so much to cover and so little time. I'm going to go through here, and I'm just going to show you. I'm not really going to demonstrate PvP or anything. I can show on some NPCs how strong the build is. But let's see. If I can get this guy to kill me, then hopefully I can show you that I don't lose anything. Ever. Come on, buddy. Come on. Kill me. Kill me. He's not going to kill me. He's probably not going to go rogue. I can just die to some NPCs and the same effect as a cheese. But as you can see, I have competitive damage. The time to kill is, you know, extremely short. I can proc on the move. Using Conceal, I'm, you know, protected from a large chunk of damage when enemy players pulse. My overheal is strong enough with the 60,000 skill power. The diminishing returns on skill power are harsh. They have been retuned. I don't know exactly how yet. I'll have to, you know, research a lot more. But diminishing returns are not, you know, they're not going to destroy you anymore. However, they are extremely steep, so I don't spec into skill power ever. I always spec into something like health and firearms. I'm really not a support player. I hardly ever have been. However, I will produce a build for you guys if you want to see that. And I plan on doing a lot more in the future. But the 65,000 skill power that I have, it makes my heal competitive, I guess is the gist of it. And then let's go over here and hopefully die to these NPCs. And I can show you that I don't lose anything on death. I actually lose 0 funds, 0 experience, and 0 keys. Not that I have any keys to lose anyways. I'm pretty tanky. I'm getting hit from all sides right now by, you know, purple NPCs. When they do finally drop me, it procs my ability and keeps me alive. So I have, you know, a large amount of survivability. And then when I finally go down and I give up, as you can see, I lost 0 of everything. I can go through the Dark Zone, not worry about losing a single thing. I can have increased effectiveness against rogues, and then when I decide to go rogue, if I need to, I have infinite ammo, and I have increased, you know, survivability. So this set, and from a solo play perspective, this is just an amazing build. However, I do foresee that they'll change this, and if they don't, I guess I'll be a little bit annoyed, but I'm not really going to quit the game or anything. I think that's a severe reaction. I would prefer to get rewards when I kill players. It's going to kind of suck if I walk around and finally kill someone and then don't actually gain any credits or funds or anything. But in the end, I guess it is what it is, and I'll have to deal with it when I get to it. So thank you so much for watching, guys. If you want to support the channel, please check out the links below. And as always, have a nice day.